Let's first discuss the Atlanta police shooting that I just discussed with Secretary Carson. The gentleman was clearly resisting arrest. Then he ran away with one of the officers' stun guns. Your reaction to what happened there?
Well, I thought it was so sad. I mean, especially considering why the officers were called to begin with. This man had fallen asleep in a takeout line. Did it really need to escalate to that? So I was just very sad by it.
Well, you say it didn't need to escalate to that, but it did. And I guess the question really becomes, and let's talk about some of your reforms, some of the measures that you call for in your legislation, a ban on chokeholds, lifting qualified immunity to make it easier for people to sue police. In the abstract, on a piece of paper, they may sound perfectly legitimate, but as you saw in the situation in Atlanta, where I agree, it was couldn't have been more nonviolent, a man falling asleep in the drive-through lane at a Wendy's, but it did escalate. Do you worry about tying the hands of police who get into realistic situations in the street where things spin out of control?
No, I don't, and let me explain why, because there's a lot of different parts to the bill. So one of the very significant parts is national standards, training, and accreditation. And we're finding a lot of support from police officers. Yesterday, I had an hour-long meeting with the Fraternal Order of Police, and they are very supportive of the idea of national standards and significant training. You should be accredited to be a police officer. Any profession that allows you to use lethal force, there should be very significant training.
Congresswoman, we've unfortunately see this play out too many times before. The death of a policeman, of a individual, black citizen, at the hands of policemen, protests, sometimes looting or violence, demands for reform, and in the end, not much changes. As I've been saying this week, George Floyd ended up dead. How confident are you that this time will be different than all those other times in the past? And how much are you willing to compromise to get the legislation that you have advanced in the House through the Republican-led Senate and then signed by the president?
Sure. Well, you know, at the end of the day, legislation is always about compromise. But I am extremely hopeful this time. And I've been doing this work for years, decades, actually. But the difference now is that there is a significant awareness. People are in the streets. Now, I just hate when it gets reduced to violence. But the majority of the protests, over the last few weeks have been peaceful, and the pressure is on us. And I really feel we're going to act. And the conversations with my Republican colleagues, even at our first hearing, have been very positive.
Are there some things that you're willing to compromise on and some things that are non-negotiable from your point of view?
Yes, I mean, I wouldn't be prepared to go into those details now, but at the end of the day, we are going to get a bill on the president's desk. We have our first vote in committee this week, and we'll vote on the floor next week. I'm hoping some of my Republican colleagues will come along, but we will see.